thinking, okay? Because, I mean, look, if, let's say, for example, you're an oppressor right now, and some guy like Rich Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, and you're insatiable, and I got to buy more apartments, I got to buy more houses, like there's money, it's on the upswing, and property values are always going to go up, and you're just going to make a fortune. This is how you do it, everybody. But he won't talk about how everybody can't be a landlord, okay? Would he like the shoe on the other foot? Would he like to be, just had a little different upbringing, just had a little different character, and gone a little different direction where he said, you know what, he saw the end from the beginning, and he didn't want to be on the other side of the equation, so he never imbibed in the equation in the first place, okay, of just being an insatiable investor, okay, because that's really what it comes down to. And of course, they socialize the debt in these situations. A citation, the banking bailout of '08. So they socialize the debt, they put it on our backs, we the people, just regular working class people. And so when they default, they just raise the price. Do you understand? So they debase the currency, they clip your coins, they make the general public who wasn't at fault for the problems and financial problems. These are being created. Everybody knows that Robert Kiyosaki is smart enough to know that. His ilk, I'm not just picking on him. I'm just saying they know the situation. They know the score. We, the people, are also, it's like we're cutting our own throat because we're pouring $50 billion a year into this problem of housing those that can't afford to pay housing. And all it's done is exacerbate the problem with unaffordable housing, homelessness, and higher housing prices. They've used it. They've just said, well, we'll take that, yoink. And instead of lowering the prices like a subsidy is supposed to do, like the farmers with this latest subsidy they're getting, hopefully this will keep prices down. But see, that should only be temporary also, because that's not capitalism. Donald Trump is showing he's a bit of a communist here, a bit of a socialist, by doing this farm subsidy bill. I mean, what's different about food stamps? I mean, that's a subsidy to the farmers. It's the factory workers that package food, process food, and the supermarkets. Okay, that's what food stamps subsidize. So, I mean, yeah, it's an all giveaway thing. But, as far as the currency debasement, this has been done intentionally. We shouldn't need pay raises. We shouldn't need cost of living adjustments. Progress under true free market capitalism dictates that your cost of living tax goes down. And there's a very clear reason why. And that is because we are able, as a civilized society, to produce, to supply more than we demand. Okay, so you can see where that leads just right there. Enough said. So we not only produce enough of the things, we produce an overabundance of the things, a superfluity, an excess of all the things that we need and want: food, shelter, drinkable water, our energy needs, okay, the primary. And then, of course, all the trinkets, knickknacks, and luxury items, all the stuff that we want, right? So that's why, that is the practical reason. That's the nuts and bolts, okay, of the why and wherefore your cost of living tax should go down. Things are supposed to get cheaper and cheaper. More and more stuff becomes free, like the parking example. Okay, it started out free. It was free. People give you this crap about how nothing in life is free. That's a bunch of bull. Okay, because I just gave you a prime example. But I always try to get into economics and preaching because, like Jesus said, the root of all evil is money. You just got to understand Satan's ambrosia. Without this thing we call money, he'd starve to death. So in order to have true freedom across the board for everybody, that's utter, absolute freedom, unequivocal freedom for everybody, equal freedom. That's what I mean about equality. Then we've got to be born in that state of freedom. And that is something we have to let God give us, okay, and let man not take away. So how's it going to be at a judgment day? And when Jesus said, like, he compared it to pulling out the weeds from the cultivars that get to stay. uh, dividing the sheep from the goats, or the wicked from the righteous, simply. That's it. There's a cutoff point, and you want to make that cutoff point. You want to jump out of the fire that's lapping at your behind and into safety. Okay, but you've got to be 100% on board with being willing that everybody be set free, that there be no more form of money. Okay, no more competitor. Okay, because that's what it is. It competes for God's affections. It competes for the attention that belongs to God. Okay, God provided the fish in the sea and the fruit on the trees and the grain in the field, and on and on and on. It's God that provided those things. It is not God that is charging you for those things. Do you understand that it makes perfect sense? It's quite logical. Okay, if you just consider these things I'm saying, just consider the things I'm telling you. It is not unreasonable. Okay, it might sound like it because of your training, because of your conditioning, and mine too. I mean, you think it's easy for me? I sound far out to myself a lot of the time. But I can't worry that if everybody else on earth disagrees with me, if I believe I'm right, I've got to keep on teaching what I teach, preaching what I preach. And I believe it with every fiber of my being. We don't need a human being to defer to be deferent to bow down to be beholden to from birth. We don't need that. We can work together. Of course, we're going to take instructions for other people. This guy knows more about this, and that's how we learn. That's how technology snowballs and keeps building on itself, accumulates, and it belongs to all of us. All the people that started the ball rolling, dead and gone thousands of years ago. It all started with the advent of the wheel. Okay, and it just never stopped since. And look at where we're at today. It blows my mind. I get on Firefox and I go, oh my God, this is cool, man. Somebody thought about it, and they had an idea. They couldn't really explain it. They let me try to do this. And so then people could oh, I see what you did. Okay, and it's just like, the smartphone. 100 years ago, somebody would have, hung you on the cross, or, maybe not 100 years ago, but you get my point. Back when the witches were burned at the stake, sort of thing. But they would have thought that's insane. You're an idiot. You're a pipe dreamer. That's preposterous. Never going to happen. You're a fool. You're stupid. And yet now we have it. You understand how this thing works? So our paradigm is shifting all the time. We're super dynamic creatures made in the image and likeness of God. Our potential is unlimited. Okay, we are built to soar with the eagle, spiritually speaking. Okay, the sky is the limit for our happiness, but we've got to understand who is the grantor, the benefactor of that happiness is, and what the components, the ingredients, the elements of our happiness are, because happiness is kind of a broad statement, right? But, it's a lot of stuff that's encompassed in being truly and wholly and fully happy. Okay, it's well-rounded and well-rounded sense. Nothing can be left out. If you just, this one area is still like a thorn in the flesh to us psychologically, and we can't be free. We can't enjoy our lives fully. And that is the money. It's got to go. So what am I saying here? We've got to wean ourselves off it. We've got to understand that just like every other creature on the face of the earth, can learn to live without this stuff and live in peace and harmony. If any of the creatures should be able to, isn't it us with our far, vastly superior intelligence? My God. And, then people think they can barely imagine a world without money. And, oh, no, it's worked well for me. And just because you're a loser and you're poor and you don't fit in and you're a misfit and, you're just an oddball and you're just an idealist and a pipe dreamer. I get it, and it's all noble, but you're a philosopher and you're simple-minded dummy, that deserves to be a loser. And I could point to this reason, and you made your bed, you lay in it. And just because you didn't jump on the bandwagon fast enough, you soon enough, you're angry with those that did, and they're proving you wrong, that you should have jumped on them. I know how people think. I mean, it's evil. We have stinking thinking. There's a lot of evil in our world, and we're all subject to it. We all have an inclination, a propensity to be evil. Like the Bible says, the heart is deceitfully wicked above all else. So we've got to fully surrender to God and believe in full equality, full freedom. Okay, full freedom. Okay, just look at equality like that. That's all I'm talking about. I'm not talking about individuality or we all want the same mansion or whatever. Okay, because we could have such a vast superfluity, excess, abundance of everything would be a totally non-issue because we could be so much more productive than we are now. There's all these people doing these jobs that are totally unproductive, totally unnecessary in the scheme of things. Okay, that's it, man. I mean, we're feeding